All right, everyone, welcome back. We're diving into the world of superheroes again today, specifically the Superman reboot. And wow, that trailer, right? I mean, it dropped a major bombshell.
Oh, yeah.
We see a wounded Superman, David Corenswet, as the Man of Steel.
Hmm.
And he's literally bleeding. He's gotten everyone talking. What could this mean? What does it mean for the character? What does it mean for us as fans?
Yeah, it's definitely not the Superman we're all used to seeing. You know, that classic untouchable symbol of strength. It's a risky move to show him vulnerable like this, but it could also be a really powerful statement, about the state of the world today. Maybe even Superman, this alien with these incredible powers, isn't immune to everything going on around us, all that chaos and conflict.
Absolutely. And the director has even said he wants to explore what it really means for someone like Superman to remain good, inherently good. In a world that doesn't always reward kindness, it's like Superman's very nature. His goodness is being put to the test.
Mm.
What do you think about that? Let us know in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you like what you're hearing.
I think it brings up some really interesting questions about the kind of heroes we need today, Do we still want that classic invincible Superman? Or are we looking for something a little bit different, someone more human, someone who struggles and even gets hurt, but still chooses to do what's right? It's like the director is asking, what does true strength even look like in this world, in a world that's becoming more cynical and divided every day?
And it gets even more interesting when you compare Superman to the other heroes we see in the movie, like Guy Gardner, the Green Lantern, played by Nathan Fillion, by the way, who's fantastic.
Yeah.
But he's portrayed as way more aggressive, even a bit rough around the edges. It's a real contrast.
Yeah.
You've got Superman's unwavering kindness versus Gardner's more forceful tactics.
Yeah, I think that dynamic could be really explosive.
Yeah.
You've got Superman, this like beacon of hope and morality, and then you have Gardner. He represents maybe a more pragmatic approach, or even a morally gray approach. It'll be so interesting to see how they interact, how they play off each other. What do you think? Hit that comment button and let us know. And don't forget to share this deep dive with your friends.
Absolutely. And while we're talking fan reactions, let's talk about the flight scene in the trailer. Some people are saying Superman's face looks a little off, like there's too much CGI. But the director insists there's no CGI on Corenswet's face at all. He says it's just the effect of the wide-angle lens they used for that shot.
I think that whole debate is really telling. We're so used to seeing these larger-than-life heroes, completely perfected with CGI. Anything that's different, anything that deviates from that hyper-realistic look throws us off. It makes you wonder how technology is shaping our view of reality, especially when it comes to these iconic characters.
Yeah, it really makes you wonder how much we can trust what we see on screen anymore. And, it kind of ties back to what we were talking about earlier, the desire for a more human, relatable Superman. Do you think that all this CGI, does it actually make these heroes less relatable? Give us your other opinions down in the comments.
It's a good point. Maybe if we strip away some of that digital perfection, we can connect with the character more on a deeper level, more emotionally. If Superman looks just a little bit more human, more vulnerable, maybe it's easier to see ourselves in him.
Exactly. And speaking of seeing ourselves in Superman, we have to talk about the Henry Cavill factor. Let's be real. Lots of fans are still really attached to his version of Superman. That's got to be a ton of pressure for David Corenswet stepping into those shoes.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. You can already see the comparisons online, all the debates. It's the classic reboot challenge. How do you honor what came before, but also bring something new to the role? How do you win over those fans who are so attached to the previous actor?
Yeah, it's a tough one. And speaking of tough, let's talk about Nathan Fillion as Guy Gardner. It's generating a lot of buzz, for sure. But there's also a bit of a dark side to this casting. You mentioned Gardner having a bit of a controversial past in the comics. What's the deal with that? While you think about that, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel to keep the conversation going.
So Guy Gardner's comic book history is, let's just say it's complicated. There are definitely some aspects of his personality and some of the things he's done that would not fly today. It'll be interesting to see what the director does with that. Does he address those problematic elements, try to recontextualize them, or just ignore them completely?
Yeah, it's a tricky situation for sure. And it brings up a bigger question. How do we deal with these legacy characters who have these problematic pasts, especially today when we're all so much more aware of social issues and how important representation is in media? It's a big topic, and it's something we're going to unpack a bit more in part 2 of this deep dive.
Yeah, it's a tough spot for creators. They want to honor these classic characters, but they also want to make them relevant for modern audiences that are let's face it, much more aware and a lot more critical of things like representation and social issues. And it's not always easy to reconcile those two things.
Right, exactly. And with a character like Guy Gardner, like, you could argue those problematic parts of him are just too ingrained. There's no way to really separate them from who he is. It'll be a real challenge for the director, for sure, to see how he walks that line.
Absolutely. It really speaks to a larger conversation that's happening all over the entertainment industry right now about how to handle these legacy characters
Yeah.
who come with, baggage, let's say, these problematic pasts. What do? Do you try to erase those parts? Do you try to reframe them? Or do you just acknowledge them and move on? There's no easy answer.
Yeah, it's a conversation worth having, for sure. And this director, he's not one to shy away from tough topics. Right? I mean, look at his other movies. He doesn't avoid the messy stuff, the complicated human parts of things.
Yeah.
That's what makes his movie so interesting.
I agree. He really does have a knack for finding the heart, even in these unconventional characters. Honestly, that's why I'm kind of optimistic about this Superman reboot. It feels like he's trying to do something different with it. Explore Superman in a way we haven't seen before. What do you think? Let's hear your thoughts in the comments. And keep this conversation going.
Oh, and while you're at it, hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives like this one.
Yes, yes, yes. We love to see you guys engaging in these discussions. You know what else we love to see? Sharing. Tell your friends about these episodes. Spread the word. Get everyone to check out the deep dive. We're going deep on all sorts of topics, just like this Superman reboot. Yeah, speaking of diving deep, there's one more thing we should unpack here. The director's whole vision for Superman, it's about kindness, right? About this inherent goodness in humanity. But, I mean, can kindness really prevail in a world that feels, I don't know, more cynical and divided than ever?
Ooh, that's a good question. It goes way beyond superhero movies, It's like tapping into some of our deepest societal anxieties.
Yeah, exactly, right?
It really does.
And it's a question each of us has to grapple with in our own lives, too. Like, how do we hold on to hope? How do we choose kindness? Especially when the world feels so dark and uncertain sometimes. It's not easy, that's for sure.
Definitely not easy. But it's important. And maybe, just maybe, seeing a vulnerable Superman on screen, even bleeding, maybe that can inspire us to choose kindness ourselves, to fight for what we believe in, even when it feels impossible.
That's a really powerful thought. It reminds us that even these fantastical stories, these superhero movies, they can still resonate with us in the real world. They can challenge us, inspire us, even give us hope.
Absolutely. That's the beauty of storytelling, right? It connects with us on such a deep level. And with this Superman reboot, it feels like, it has the potential to start a really important conversation about kindness, about hope, about what it means to be human. Yeah, it's a reminder that even when things feel really dark, there's still room for hope,
Yeah.
for compassion, for believing in the good in people. And I mean, who better to embody that than Superman?
Right. He's like the ultimate symbol of hope. And that's what makes this reboot so interesting. It's not just about, the action and special effects, although I'm sure those will be amazing. But it's really trying to get at what it means to be a good person, even in a world that's, well, less than perfect. And showing how even Superman, with all his power, still has to deal with challenges, with being vulnerable.
It's a different way of looking at the character, for sure. And I think it's something that a lot of people will connect with. We're all going through tough times these days, right? So to see Superman struggling too, to see him bleed, to see him choosing to be kind even when it's hard, it could be really powerful. And hey, while we're at it, don't forget to like and subscribe if you're digging this deep dive, and share it with your friends. Let's get more people talking about this.
Definitely. And it's also a reminder that we're not alone in our struggles. None of us, even the strongest people, even Superman, need help sometimes. It's a message of unity, of compassion, of how important human connection really is.
And that's what makes Superman such a great character, right?
Right.
He represents the best of us. This hope that no matter how bad things get, we can still choose to be kind, to be brave, to fight for what's right. And that feels more relevant than ever these days.
Absolutely. So while we wait for this reboot to come out, let's all keep these questions in mind. Can kindness win out in the end? Can hope really overcome all the cynicism in the world? Can we, as people, as a society, actually live up to those ideals that Superman represents?
Those are definitely questions worth thinking about. And let's hear what you think. Share your thoughts in the comments below. Let's keep this conversation going. That's what the deep dive is all about.
Exactly. We love to explore different perspectives, dig into these complex topics, have meaningful discussions.
And you know what? Maybe by looking at these ideas to the lens of a superhero movie, we can learn something about ourselves, about the world around us.
That's the goal. And hey, If you're looking for even more food for thought, be sure to check out our friends over at The Other Opinion. They always have a fresh take on things.
All right, so to wrap things up, we just want to remind you to like this video, subscribe to the channel for more deep dives, and share this episode with your friends. Oh, and if you have any other opinions, let us know in the comments. We always love hearing from you.
Oh, and one quick thing. This was an AI-generated podcast, so
Ah,
while we do our best to make sure everything's accurate, there might be some mistakes. If you see anything that seems off, just let us know in the comments. We'll try to fix it right away.
all right, that's it for today's deep dive, everyone. Until next time, keep exploring, keep asking questions, and keep diving deep.